Afghanistan, a country at war. For generations, this is Afghanistan. For many of us, it's a distant headline, a story on the nightly news. But for millions of Afghans, it is the stark, unyielding reality of their daily lives. Today, we're going beyond the headlines to understand the human story. The story of survival, resilience, and the quiet, desperate hope that flickers in the shadows of a nation in crisis. Let's rewind to August 2021. The world watched as the Taliban returned to power. A moment that sent shockwaves across the globe and triggered a seismic shift within Afghanistan itself. The withdrawal of international forces and the collapse of the previous government didn't just change the political landscape. It plunged the nation into a humanitarian catastrophe of unprecedented scale. The international aid that had propped up the economy for 20 years vanished overnight. Sanctions were imposed, freezing the country's central bank assets and effectively severing its connection to the global financial system. The result was an economic freefall. Imagine your life savings becoming worthless, your job disappearing, and the price of bread tripling in a matter of weeks. This was the reality for ordinary Afghans. Doctors, teachers, engineers, people who had built careers and supported their families were suddenly left with nothing. Many were forced to sell their belongings, their furniture, their wedding rings, just to buy food for their children. The scenes were heartbreaking. Bustling markets turned into desperate bazaars of personal possessions, each item a relic of a life that no longer existed. The human cost of this economic collapse is staggering. According to the United Nations, more than half the population, that's over 28 million people, now require humanitarian assistance to survive. Malnutrition rates have soared, especially among children. Hospitals, deprived of funding and supplies, have struggled to function. A healthcare system that was once making fragile progress is now on the brink of collapse, leaving millions without access to even the most basic medical care. For many, a simple illness can become a death sentence. And then there is the food crisis. Afghanistan is facing one of the worst hunger emergencies in the world. Successive droughts, worsened by climate change, have devastated harvests. Families have been forced to take desperate measures. We hear stories of parents skipping meals so their children can eat, of people surviving on bread and water for days on end. This isn't just about poverty. It's a daily struggle against starvation, a battle fought in the quiet desperation of millions of homes. Perhaps one of the most visible and heart-wrenching consequences of the crisis has been the reversal of progress for women and girls. Over the past 2 decades, a generation of Afghan women had dared to dream. They became doctors, lawyers, journalists, and politicians. They went to school, they ran businesses, they ran their voices. They were the architects of a new, more inclusive Afghanistan. Since 2021, those dreams have been systematically dismantled. Girls have been banned from attending secondary school and university. Women have been largely excluded from the workforce and public life. Their movements restricted, their voices silenced. They have been told to stay at home, their world shrinking to the 4 walls of their houses. This is not just a loss for them. It's a loss for the entire country. When you exclude half of your population from contributing to society, you are crippling your own future. The vibrant energy and potential of millions of women have been forcibly extinguished, casting a long, dark shadow over the nation's path forward. But in the midst of this profound darkness, there are glimmers of incredible strength. The story of Afghanistan is not just one of suffering. It is also a story of immense resilience. It's the story of local aid workers, many of them Afghans themselves, who risk everything to deliver food and medicine to remote villages. It's the story of teachers running secret schools in their homes. determined to keep the flame of education alive for girls who have been denied their right to learn. These are acts of incredible bravery, quiet rebellions against a tide of despair. It's the story of entrepreneurs who, against all odds, are trying to rebuild. A baker who keeps his small shop open, providing a vital source of bread for his community. A female artisan collective that continues to weave beautiful carpets, preserving their cultural heritage and earning a meager income through discreet online sales. These individual efforts might seem small in the face of such a massive crisis, but they are the threads from which the fabric of a future society might one day be woven. They represent an unbreakable spirit, a refusal to surrender to hopelessness. The international community's response has been complex and, some would argue, insufficient. Humanitarian aid has been a lifeline, preventing a complete collapse. Organizations like the World Food Programme, UNICEF, and countless NGOs are on the ground, doing heroic work. They are running feeding centers, providing medical supplies, and trying to keep basic services afloat. This aid is absolutely essential. Without it, the death toll would be far, far higher. However, humanitarian aid is a short-term solution. It's like putting a bandage on a deep wound. It can stop the bleeding, but it can't heal the underlying injury. The fundamental problem is the shattered Afghan economy. As long as the country remains isolated, as long as its banking system is paralyzed, and as long as its people cannot find work, the cycle of crisis will continue. This presents a huge dilemma for the world. How do you help the Afghan people without legitimizing or strengthening a regime whose policies, particularly on women's rights, are condemned globally? It's a tightrope walk with no easy answers. Finding a way to support the Afghan economy and its people directly, without propping up the authorities, is one of the most critical geopolitical challenges of our time. Creative solutions are desperately needed solutions that can restart local economies, support small businesses, and create jobs, all while upholding a firm stance on human rights. So, what can we, as individuals watching this from afar, possibly do? It's easy to feel helpless, to think that this problem is too big, too distant, too complicated, but we are not powerless. The first and most important thing is to stay informed, to look beyond the fleeting headlines and understand the human reality. By watching videos like this, by reading articles, by listening to the voices of Afghans themselves, we refuse to let them be forgotten. We keep their story alive in the global consciousness. Secondly, we can support the organizations that are on the ground doing the life-saving work. A small donation to a reputable humanitarian agency can provide a family with a month's worth of food, or supply a clinic with essential medicines. It's a direct and tangible way to make a difference. We can amplify their work on social media, raising awareness and encouraging others to contribute. And finally, we can use our own voices. We can talk to our friends and family about what's happening. We can engage with our elected representatives, urging them to prioritize diplomatic and economic solutions that help the Afghan people without compromising on fundamental human rights. Public pressure matters. When we show that we care, it sends a powerful message to policymakers that the fate of 40 million people cannot be ignored. The people of Afghanistan are at a crossroads. Their story is one of profound tragedy, but it is also a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. It's the story of a mother fighting to feed her children, a teacher risking her safety to educate the next generation, and a young woman who, despite everything, still dares to hope for a future where her voice will be heard. They are not just victims. They are survivors, fighters, and dreamers. They have been living in the shadows for far too long. They need more than our pity. They need our attention, our support, and our sustained commitment. They need to know that the world has not forgotten them. Thank you for taking the time to learn about this critical issue. If this story has moved you, please share this video. Let us keep the conversation going and ensure the people of Afghanistan are not left to face the shadows alone. Follow our channel for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. Thanks for watching.